I get to school one morning. Once I get inside, I start walking to the back towards the playground, and way off in the distance, I can see a group of people gathered in a circle all the way on the opposite side of the school. And I was confused at what I saw because my elementary school had a pretty big open section in the back, right? They had some fields and a playground back there. But this group was in this secluded little corner that nobody ever went around. And the corner they were all congregated at was this really strange corner of the playground where there was this balance beam at. And it was this super old, rusty, corroded balance beam in the shape of a backward Z that was like cemented into the ground. And the school was built forever ago, so this thing had been sitting there for generations. I mean, it had to have been abused by decades of sun combined with rain. It was like a tie-dye of orange, red, and brown rust. It even just looked nasty. Matter of fact, you might get tetanus just from staring at it too long. So it was basically a relic of the past that was just chilling in the corner of our playground. So I'm curious what everybody could possibly be congregated around this artifact of a balance beam for. I start walking over, and when I get there, in the middle of the circle, there were two kids standing up on the balance beam throwing jabs, fighting each other. At one point, the one kid grabs a hold of the other one by the shoulders and hurls him off the beam, slams him into the sand below. And when he hit the ground, the crowd starts going crazy. I mean, this was the most hype I had seen on the playground since those Foursquare tournaments. And after the loser fell to the ground, another kid, he hopped up on the beam to try and challenge the winner. All of a sudden, people start lining up on either side of the balance beam to wait their turn and fight the kid on the opposite end. And that was the morning that Fight Club began. So a couple more days go by, more and more people start to notice these balance beam fights, and by the end of the week, there had to have been dozens of people congregating around the balance beam each morning before school. Everybody wanted to try their hand up on the beam. Next thing we know, morning Fight Club, it became a daily ritual. Yeah, we were at school, but this was not what the teachers meant when they said to raise your hands. And the rules of the fight were simple. Two people get up on the beam, and the first to touch the sand was the loser. Now, as far as the fighting went, nothing was off limits. You could wrestle your opponent off, you could grab their hoodie, yank them to the ground, you could swipe out their legs. Hey, whatever it took, whatever you wanted. So as a few days of this went on, the structure of Fight Club started to evolve. Because there would always be arguments, two people would be up there wrestling and their body weight would drag both of them down at the same time. Somebody would be like, no, I think you hit the ground first. I'll really sock you in the jaw right now. So eventually we instituted a referee position. So if two people had a close finish, the ref would be there to make the call. Another week of chaotic fighting goes by. We added some more structure to things and started up a sudden death tournament. So if you won your match, you got to advance. You get back in line and wait for your next opponent. But if you lost, that's it. You were done until the next one. You had to sit out and watch. So to win the entire tournament, you were going to have to win like 20 fights in a row. And then the other part about it was, since the balance beam was above sand, nobody was really afraid to fall. And since nobody was afraid to fall, people got carried away. They started acting like it was WWE. I remember one time I got up on the beam, right? And my opponent just launched himself at me. Air tackled me into the sand. I didn't even have time to react. I had to sit out and watch. Do you guys remember that even in elementary school, there was always like one kid that was somehow excessively tall for no reason, even in like 3rd grade? I don't know, his parents feed him Tren or something for breakfast. Like, you have no business being that tall. You're 9 years old. Well, one day I get up there, look across the beam, and my opponent is that kid. And this kid had this one move he would always do where he'd wait for you to get close enough and then use his giraffe looking leg to just kickbox you to the ground. Bro was a force to be reckoned with, I can't lie. So as soon as the ref said go, I already knew the trick up his sleeve. We start moving towards each other. I start walking in closer and closer. I'm trying to bait him into kicking his leg up. And of course, he goes for the kick. He thought he had me in range. At which point, I lean back out of the way and boom, caught his shoe, twisted and threw him down to the sand. Bro with his 8-foot legs didn't even fall. He just kind of tipped over like one of those walker things in Star Wars. Although, the craziest tactic I had ever witnessed, and I had never seen a move like this before. The two fighters, they were up on the balance beam when dude on the left took off his hoodie, threw it over the other kid's head, and then proceeded to bum rush him into the sand. I mean, I know we say anything is allowed, but I'm not gonna lie, that was crazy. And the one kid wanted a rematch, but the ref wouldn't give it to him. He said he lost fair and square. The two of them started getting into it a little bit. The loser, he probably felt disrespected. So now they start fighting for real. And when they had both hit the sand, a little bit of dust clouds flew up from the ground.